Hello, I was just getting ready for my top 10 of the year when I noticed a notification on Storygraph. And apparently this year they have a reading wrap up, so I thought I'd go through that with you. So let's flick over. There we go. So my 2022 Storygraph reading wrap up. Everyone is copying Spotify. I've had so many wrap ups this year. I've had one from like the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, but I haven't done that much gaming this year, so they weren't that fun to do. So hopefully this one will be more fun. Your 2022 reading wrap up. Congrats on a wonderful reading year. You finished reading 62 books across 26,034 pages. First book was Remina, and the last book was Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Your 2022 Storygraph mood map of your reading. Oh, lighter books push the line up and darker books pull the line down. So weird that kind of maps to winter. That's really weird. Yeah, I wish we could dive deeper to see what are the big books driving that up or down. But yeah, that's but then like a little uptick in December, probably because I read Hogfather. Interesting. You explored new worlds, got wrapped up in intrigue, went to dark places, and most of the stories developed at a steady pace. So blue line is books read, and then pages read. So it roughly maps, but I obviously read some shorter books in April and June. June is the lowest, predictably, because that's when we went on holiday and I just didn't have time for reading because it was a very busy holiday. But oh my god, May. Don't know. Oh my god. What is in that brew? Oh, that's going down the drain. It's adorable. Anyway. So one interesting thing. I don't know if I can do it at the moment because I don't have Plus, but for a while I had a free trial. And I compared my map of last year to, I'm going to say this year, but now it is last year. So 2021 to 22. And the sort of flow is very similar. The shape is almost the same, which is really bizarre to me. So I met my reading goal. So yeah, I set myself 50. Maybe I could have set myself a higher goal. Because I knew I'd comfortably do 50 at least again. But I don't know. I don't want to ruin reading by setting myself a stupid goal that I'm definitely not going to do. So I'd rather go the opposite and set a nice, alright goal that will keep me going, rather than make it too hard on myself. Genres you spend the most time with. Obviously, fantasy is just the biggest. Sci-fi 10? I wonder if that's because Broken Earth is... Can I click through? Okay, I can't click through. Yeah, I wonder if Broken Earth's in that, because I had 2 June books. But other than that, I can't think of what else is strict sci-fi, so I'm assuming the Broken Earth trilogy is included in that, but I don't know what else. Classic 7... Yeah, because I read a couple of Persephone books, which are usually classed as classics. I did 100 Years of Solitude this year, and some Japanese classics as well. Literary, no idea what's going to be included in literary. Probably a lot of the Japanese fiction, and 7 manga. Now, I only include the volume 1 on Storygraph of manga because it's obviously a lot quicker to read through a lot of manga volumes than it is a book. So if I blast through a manga, I don't want that to then skew all of these fun stats. So the manga one's a bit weird. I more put the first volume on to remind myself what I've read. But I am thinking of other ways of doing it, of maybe putting manga on a separate list, maybe. We'll see. Longest book was Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, was it? Yeah, actually I guess. The only one over 1,000. And the shortest. Oh, that's funny that I read my longest and shortest book in the same month. That's actually quite a nice way to wrap up the year. I like that. Average length of the books you read was 424 pages. Took you around 15 days to finish each book. Yeah, I would say so. Because I think how many books I'm reading averages to about a book a week. But I'm like usually stacking them on top of each other. So yeah, I think 2 weeks is about right. Oh my god. So the least time, yeah, obviously in manga volume, I'm gonna smash through it in a day. Again, another reason why it seems silly to include manga in this, because yeah, of course it's going to be the quicker read. The longest time, this was a journey, it was a task, but I did it. And Catherine Melton's just won an MB, is that the right award? She just won an award. Also, she spent the most time with. Brandon Sanderson, 5, yeah, I've done, that's original Miss Bond trilogy plus 2 out of Era 2. Then the Broken Earth trilogy and 2 of Lycanius trilogy. Average rating, okay, I haven't rated everything. I think I've got a batch of like 15 books that I haven't rated. So that might be a bit off. And it's very high, but I think I did well again at picking books that I knew I'd really enjoy. Like, I've not had many mid or disappointing books, which has been really nice. So 5-star reads out, yes. Still agree with that. The House Creeper and the Professor still definitely agree with that. I gave Maid Salmon 5 stars because I think for me, for my taste, it is definitely up there for romance. Because I love the characters so much. Final Empire, yeah. All Lovers in the Night, yes. Babel, yes. Shadow of What Was Lost, yes. Who knows, maybe in the future I might rethink this, but I'm fine with giving 5 stars to all of these. Yeah. See, because my thing is I'll probably never give anything 1 star, because if it's 1 star, I'm not finishing it. So we almost need like a separate DNF category, which would be either the really mid books or the 1 stars. Some months were better than others. September average rating. Wow, I just read 5-star books in September, and April wasn't my favorite. Most pages read was in May, 3,095. Oof, that's a lot. Like, that's 3 Lord of the Rings in 1 month. That's a lot. Other Storygraph users and your 22 reads. Does most shelved mean finished? Does it mean added to like TBR? I'm not sure what they mean by shelved. Please let me know in the comments if you know. What's your type? It's the shelved. That kind of makes sense. It's not the kind of book I expect to see very much of on BookTube, and it wasn't amazing, so yeah. Highest rated, yeah, everyone loves Maid Summer. Everyone loves it. You explored the works of 14 new authors, including, this was my first Charles Dickens that I've definitely tried Charles Dickens years and years ago, but never finished anything. This is my first finished Charles Dickens. I thought it was a good way to start. I am not sure who. Tyson 5. I don't know who that is. Takopi's Original Sin. That's who that is. And Nicholas Eames. 33 of the books you read were part of a series. Yes, lots of series going on. You revisited a total of 2 books this year. So I reread Jonathan Strange and Miss Norrell and Perdido Street Station, and had a blast with both of them. You decided not to finish 3 of the books you picked up this year, so I guess it's a good time to show off my DNFs. Your Body is Not Your Body. I think this was maybe as much of like an editing story choice issue, where every single story was really overly bizarre and not well explained, and it just needed more of a mix of things that were a little bit more on the normal side. So the mix didn't work for me. I'm sure there were stories, if you plucked out individually, they'd be fantastic, but yeah, I just reached a point where I didn't want to carry on, unfortunately. Shadow Magic, this just leaned too heavily towards YA or even children's fiction. And I thought did I not do Castle Omnibus this year? Did I quit that last year, really? I'm Black on Both Sides, because it turns out this is a very heavy textbook. I don't think this is made for normal people, which is a shame, because it seemed like it was a really interesting thing. I would love to learn about Black trans people throughout history, because that's not really what it was. So yeah, I can't recommend unless you happen to be at university doing a thesis on the subject. So let's hop back. Oh, okay, you didn't own any. That's like very blatantly not true. I think I read like 3 books from the library, maybe just 2, and I own the rest. I've just not marked it on Storygraph. With a Plus subscription, you get access to mood and pace charts based on your reviews. Yeah, I should probably just get a Plus. And this is it, 2022 at a glance. Yeah, it's been a fun year. So while we're here, why don't we just go quickly through the regular stats. So here's my mood: adventurous, mysterious, dark. It was the first time in a while where I think for the first half of the year, adventurous was not at the top. I think I was reading a lot of mysterious, dark books, but adventure won out in the end. What else is there? Dark, reflective, emotional, challenging, tense, funny, lighthearted, informative, hopeful, sad. Only 2 sad books, 2 relaxing books, and 1 inspiring book. So, mostly medium, but I do prefer slow over fast a bit more. But honestly, I like a bit of a mix. 300 to 500 is around about the norm, but 18 books over 500 pages. Lots of fiction, a few non-fiction. I know a lot of people try and make goals about how much non-fiction they read. Honestly, at the moment, I'm really enjoying how I'm reading, so I don't really want to change this unless I think with non-fiction, it's basically just if I spot something that really takes my interest. So I'm kind of happy with what I did, especially when one of them took me nearly 90 days to finish. When one of them is a very heavy book about like Russian history. So let's say I'm going to aim for quality over quantity with non-fiction in particular. Fantasy is way out there. Oh, we can see what the science fiction ones are. Oh, okay. 20th Century Boys, Perdita Street Station. Of course, Murder Bar. Okay, they were included, and Harrow's included. Okay. A few mysteries, manga, literary. What are the literary ones? Oh, yes. Okay. Babel's included in that. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, we won't dive into everything. We'll try and wrap up. So this year I tried to keep better tabs on what editions of things I read. So this is a stat they brought in towards the end of last year. And so this stat is off for 21 because you just added a book and then it's only towards the end of last year that they then put in whether it was digital, print, whatever. So mostly print this year. I think if I have one goal, it is actually to try and go through my digital TBR a bit more. But I will be actually out of the country for a good stint this year, so I can see this definitely going up. So we've done this one. Although, does it include a couple more? Yeah, the Murakami, Frank Herbert, Hiro Fujiwara, and James Islington sharing 2, but this is the Maid-Sama author, so that's wrong. Something was incorrectly added as being in Japanese. I think the edition's information isn't quite right. Because I can't read Japanese, not yet. So I've seen this one, and like I said, this is not right. So there we have it. That is my Storygraph. Hello! I am now in different clothes because it's like a week after I recorded that last bit. Yes, it's taken me a while to get my tier list in order. So let me pull that up. That one, here we go. Yes, so I thought I'd finish off the tier list that I started. I think I ended up recording it in July, but the aim was to do a tier list for the first half of the year. So if you that video exists, I think. Let me just double check that video exists before I send you to it. Oh yeah, okay, that was it. So I did the first half and I did it live. So it exists on YouTube, but YouTube doesn't want to show it all the time for some reason. It doesn't show the VOD. So if I can find the links to the VOD, I will link it below. But in case you don't want to do that, or in case we can't find it, I will do a quick run through, like very rapid run through of what I've got here. Housekeeper and the Professor, I've banged on about this so much, it's an absolutely wonderful book. The best book you'll read that includes questions about maths. Trust me. Final Empire, first Mistborn book. It showed me that Stormlight Archive isn't one-off. I am all in on the Brandon Sanderson train. out, a Japanese thriller with great character studies, All the Lovers in the Night. Kawakami continues to write amazing characters. Hero of Ages, more Mistborn. Well of Ascension, more Mistborn. Should that be an A? Yeah, I think I enjoyed it slightly less, but not by a lot. I could probably easily put this in S, to be honest. But I didn't want to fill out S. I could be too positive. Maid Summer, I love that. If you want a romance manga, I highly suggest it. Let's put some more light on my face. Empire of the Vampire, that was good fun. This season, phenomenal fantasy. Obeliskate with like more of the Broken Earth trilogy. That makes sense. Children of Dune, like all Dune books, I don't have all of my feelings as I'm reading. I tend to look back and go, whoa, that was a trip. But I really love the weirdness that this ends on. Yeah, it was good fun. It was Children of Dune. Harrow the Ninth, despite being massively confused for most of it, it is an excellent book and the best book you'll read that has a reference to the non-pizza left beef meme, or was that in Gideon? It definitely it definitely referenced the cat Miet. You kick Miet. Wind Up Bird Chronicles. Yeah, it was a really long book. It goes to some strange places. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I will be reading more Murakami, I think. Cyclopedia Exotica, I recommend looking it up. It's comics about Cyclops having to deal with racism, essentially. It's mostly funny, but it raises some great issues. Legends and Lattes. I kind of feel like I don't know if I forgot this or for my top 10, but I think it was just edged out, but I still really enjoyed it. You know, you can see it's pretty high. Putin's People blew my mind. Well, yeah, it blew my mind, but depressed me, but it is absolutely incredible journalism. First volume of 20th Century Boys. Oh, I think I haven't added the second volume, but that's fine. I wanted to say Everything Everywhere All at Once. That is a completely different thing. 100 Years of Solitude. That's what that one is here. Yeah, a classic. Really interesting to see what it's actually about after knowing the title for so many years. Really interesting. Haven't read a book with that format. Yeah, it was interesting. The Ember Blade. I don't want to be going to too much depth. It was a really great book, solid fantasy. The reason why it's not as high as it is for other people, I notice a lot of people really love this book. It just hasn't stuck with me, and I also don't remember rushing through any parts of it at the time. I don't remember feeling very excited. It's still an excellent book. I want to see where it goes, but it's just not very top of the list for me. Is it called The Original Sin of Takapi? Or the Something Sin of Takapi? Very heartbreaking. Trigger warnings for very horrible things happening to innocent children. Very sad and moving, but kind of incredible. Remina. You know what? I think Remina is probably the one where I might even bring it down to C, because as far as Junji Ito goes, I think this is just like, I think Junji Ito is either absolutely incredible, and then the gradient is incredible, to just like meh, and it's kind of meh. I don't remember having many incredible moments in Remina, sadly. But I need to get onto some more Junji Ito. I can't believe I only read that last year. June Messiah, didn't enjoy it as much as Children of June. It just felt like it was more wrapping up a particular era of Paul's story. So it's important, but I didn't enjoy it as much as Children of June. The Appeal. Oh my god, I read it in a day, and I probably could do with more books that I could read in a day. It's not my normal genre, but I might check out this author again just if I need a really quick read. And Nakano Thrift Shop, lovely sort of slice of life. I think this is another one I will go back to. Shadow of a Dead God, this was an indie title. I don't know if I'll carry on with the series. It was just okay. But I don't know. I might change my mind at some point. Another Murakami, Wild Sheep Chase. Didn't enjoy this as much as Wind Up Bird Chronicle. I won't say it lost me, but I just wasn't that interested in the concept, I guess. Flesh Eater, another indie title, wasn't what I was expecting. And I feel like it maybe showed its hand a bit too late. Life Isn't Binary, non-fiction. This had some stuff I already know and I'm aware of, but also brought new things to the table. That's kind of what I want from non-fiction, so that's cool. Mon Japan, very, very short introduction. This is from a series of books that are short introductions, but it's very handy to get a very quick explainer of some Japanese history, which is very cool, and it kind of coincided with me reading a lot of Japanese classics. Great. Speaking of, Makioka Sisters, very long, very slow, but I did enjoy it. This is just posh, fancy ladies dealing with various things. Jane Austen in Japan? I've not actually read any Jane Austen, but maybe that's what we can call it. Lady Joker, I disqualified this. The reason why it's in B, it would be much higher if it was a finished book, but this is just the first half of the book. See my top 10 for more information. Kings of the Wild, I was disappointed. There was some stuff I did find funny, but not funny enough, and I'm at a point where I'm done reading or experiencing stories about old guys, because I feel like they actually get plenty of stories. See all video games. Lonely Castle in the Mirror. Another story. It's kind of cool, kind of sweet. About teenagers meeting in a mystery castle through a mirror. It was okay. Didn't really stick with me. Same with Crowfolk. It was kind of funny. I liked the setting of it being a quaint English village, but nothing about it was like stood out to me as something that I'd want to revisit. Book of Form and Emptiness. This one, the Women's Fiction Prize, and I wasn't a huge fan. It felt like the kind of book I'd be forced to read for a GCSE. Right, I've got 3 Persephone books. I think that one was The Children Who Lived in the Barn, which is like an old children's book from like the 30s. So that was interesting. Then we have Greenbanks, which is like another book from the 30s. And it's like family drama. So very much not my thing, which is why it's down this low. Then we have Bakemonogatari 1. one of the Bakemonogatari's. Apparently I only read one this year, but very trashy books. I think I might revisit them when I want something quick to read, but they do not deserve any praise whatsoever. So they will be the most the trashiest thing I will ever read. And my most hated book, Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea. Oh, okay, right. No. Check everything looks okay still. Right, okay, so that is half a year of reading. Stone Sky, so apparently I was in the middle of reading it in the middle of the year. This probably just like belongs next to the others. I think I picked this one out as my favourite, but they're all kind of similar standing. What I did enjoy about Stone Sky is going a bit deeper into seeing like ancient civilization type stuff, which I found pretty cool. So even though you've got this rough, hard story going on about people suffering through like terrible stuff, there's also this hint of sci-fi going on where it's like, ooh, what's this ancient computer about? So that was kind of cool. What's your type? Yeah, this belongs in C. It was fine, but it wasn't what I wanted out of a book. I thought it was going to go into the use of the Myers-Briggs test as it's used in companies now, but instead it was just more of a history of the women who came up with it. So it's not what I wanted, unfortunately. Another non-fiction, We Have Been Harmonized. This is excellent. Going into things that are happening in China. I have seen some criticisms about it, saying that I think the author might be biased. Potentially, I don't know, but maybe I should read some stuff that kind of counteracts what he's saying, but at the same time, he did plan a meeting with someone, and the meeting was delayed by an hour because that someone was stopped by the secret police because they knew the meeting was happening because they can read all of your messages. So there's some truth in there, and I found it fascinating, if not a bit horrifying. We'll save that one because that's the second one. Quarantine Comics. I ended up putting this in my top 10 of the year because I think I wanted to share it with more people. It's funny but sad. I think I'm gonna put it there. Funny but sad, and I think it's important to have a little reminder of how things were during the lockdowns. Even though we don't really want to think about it, I think it is important to have access to that knowledge and that experience again. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, this was a reread for me. I'll put it there. I absolutely adore this book. I thought I'd still be reading it now because it's like a 1,000-page book, and I started it in December, but I finished it over Christmas. It's lovely. I adore it so much. I know it's not to everyone's taste. I've seen plenty of people try it and DNF it. Like that, you know, absolutely fine. It's sort of like fantasy but told through a classical lens, I guess. But I adore it. It's got some great memorable characters, and it's got that feeling of reading. It sometimes has that feeling of reading fairy tales as well. Yeah, really great. I feel like I'll probably do some more videos just about this book in the future. Because it's been a few years since I last read it, and on this reread there were certain things and concepts that came to my head. So might not be the last time you see that book. Babel. Interestingly, I found out that this was sort of like written kind of as a counter to Jonathan Strange, or to see things from a different view. So Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is like told during the Napoleonic Wars. This is told during the Industrial Revolution, while the British has colonies across the world, and it views things from the point of view of non-white people who become more and more aware of what colonization is and how it affects everyday people. Obviously all the characters in Jonathan Strange, all but one of the characters in Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell are white. I still think it views things a very interesting way, but yes, most of the characters, as was very true in that era, very ignorant of slavery and the harm that the British have done. It's more about everyone being very proud of being British. So you see what I mean? I have a lot of thoughts about this book. Yeah, Babel was fantastic. I will put it there. I think Out was still outstanding for me. Okay, let's do Lycanius. Sorry, Babel. Losing your position already. Look, I love Shadow of What Was Lost. It felt like the right book for me at the right time. Really had a good fun with it. Loved every character I was getting to know. An Echo of Things to Come. Things go a bit deeper. And it starts getting a little bit harder to keep track of stuff. But it does come down here for me, I think. Just because those flashbacks went on a little bit too much for my liking. I'm in the middle of reading the third one. I'd be interested to see where it lands once I've finished. Because it could be a little bit lower. Or, who knows, that finale could put it up for me. I really want to talk about it. I also don't want this to last all day. If I've picked right, this should be Far Cry, by Emma Smith, I want to say. So this is another Persephone classic. This is about a guy who takes his teenage daughter from England to India to go live with his other adult daughter. And this, I was just okay with this, and then we finally meet the adult daughter midway through, and things get a bit more interesting, and we get this really flawed character who seems to be trapped doing things for appearances or doing things for other people and fighting against that. And yeah, I thought it definitely has some cool stuff in there. Yeah, I can't put it at the bottom of B. Lady Joker just has to sit there, so I'll put it there. Perdita Street Station. This is another reread and another favourite of mine. I had so much fun revisiting this. I think there. Bloody love Perdita Street Station, and hopefully this year, I plan on getting around to the Scar, which is the next in that sort of Bast-like novel series. Tokyo Vice. I feel like I kind of forgot about this when I was trying to come up with my top 10. I don't think it is worthy of my top 10, but very cool book. It's been made into a HBO show, but the HBO show is more dramatized than documentary. You know, it is a drama, It's just loosely based on his life. So I highly, even if you've enjoyed that show, I encourage you to read the book, because you'll then get to see the truth behind what happened. Really cool. Where do I want to put it? I think I'll put it there. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with this. It was really interesting to see how things worked in the good old 90s. You know, you learned about cool stuff about things like journalists camping outside of police officers' houses to give them gifts, to get on their good side so that they can get scoops. Very cool. Oh, Hogfather. I think it's gonna go... It's gonna go here for me. And I'm sorry. There was some stuff that I really liked. There were some scenes that are absolutely genius. But I still think there's something about Terry Pratchett's writing that just doesn't quite work for me. And I just wanted to hurry up and get it finished. Which I don't like feeling when I read a book. I will try more Pratchett in the future, but I still think he's not quite for me, unfortunately. Silver Spoon, I've actually read the first 3 volumes of this. Silver Spoon's great. It's a manga about a teenager who, instead of going to a regular college or a regular high school, he goes to a farming school where he is surrounded by like the sons and daughters of farming families who know what they're doing. So he's a bit of an outsider. So very fun, but very real. You know, it touches on the subject of slaughtering the animals that you raised and stuff like that. And I appreciated that realism. Where do I want to put this? I think it actually sneaks up here. Yeah. Sorry, Legends and Lattes, but I think it actually just sneaks above you. Yeah. Mexican Gothic. I'm starting to wonder if this genre is not for me. This type of thriller. Because I just want to hurry up and figure out what the twist is going to be and then leave. It wasn't quite as bad as it has been with some others, but you know, I did enjoy my time with it, but or did I? I mean, it's not a yes or no. I think it was more in the meh territory for me. I will put it next to Romana. Actually, box. So, Joe Hill, son of Stephen King, his horror novel. I will say I thought I actually didn't think I'd like this going in, but I just picked it up anyway because it's from the library, it was free. I didn't think I'd like this because it's about an aging rocker, you know, see my comments about King of the Wild. However, I did start to empathise a bit with him more and more as things went on, as he maybe got a bit more protective of the people around him and a bit less selfish. So yeah, there was some merit to it, and the ghost element hit like right away. You weren't waiting around for spooky stuff to happen. It kind of happened early on and happened fairly consistently. But where do I want to put it? I think... I think it's going around here. 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 I think it's going it's, I enjoyed it, yeah. But yeah, that hanging around with that kind of character isn't my thing, but it definitely won me over. Oh, okay, so we're on. I can never remember the order of these books. Okay, Alloy of Law is first, so let's pick that one up. I'm gonna put this at the. No, I can't put it there, I don't think. I'm gonna put it near the top of B. It was good fun, nice easy read, nice short read. You can't compare it to Era 1, book 1, but I enjoyed it for what it was, like a good romp. You know, using those Mistborn powers, but again taking another twist on them, which I really enjoyed. I like that we don't instantly just get another Mistborn to hang out with, we get someone else with their own limitations. That was very cool. How Shadows herself, I think sneaks up to A. Yeah, it sneaks up there with these. It went a bit deeper than I was expecting. You know, I thought we'd just have these fun romps, and then it actually has these interesting world building stuff and something that's kind of heartbreaking as well. So yeah, it was a step up for me that I really enjoyed. A Christmas Carol. I don't know. It's so hard because obviously we all know the story. I just wanted to experience the original once for myself. I'm just gonna put it in the middle of C because I don't think I can separate it from the story as a whole, if that makes sense. I can't separate it from its adaptations. What I will say is that the Muppets got a lot of things right and might still be the best adaptation there is. Cabin at the End of the World. I feel like this was a smarter book than Heart-Shaped Box. But I will put it next to it because my feelings are kind of similar. It's got the same thing as Mexican Gothic, where I think I was waiting for a certain answer, but then at some point I figured out we were not going to get that answer because that would ruin the story. Yeah, I don't really know how to talk about this one. So I will just leave it there. I will leave it there. As Official Condition, the second Murderbot Diary. I had good fun with this, but it didn't really stick with me after. But I suppose it's not really supposed to stick with me after. It just made me laugh. And I think something that makes me laugh is gonna put it up here, as maybe could have put it in the like Legends and Lattes Silver Spoon category. I will put it there. Murderbot's great. Drowning City. I think this came close to being a DNF. It just did not work for me. Unfortunately, it had some elements that should have worked, like the setting, but I think there was just a few failures in the writing and things didn't hit how they should have. I do wonder if I'd read this when I'd actually bought it, if I'd enjoy it more and I'd have better, like, more fond memories of it. Because it's a bit of an older fantasy, so I do wonder if it now also has to struggle with being compared to the fantasy of today, which I feel like has pushed the genre forward quite a bit. Yeah, unfortunate, but yeah, it just didn't work. Chainsaw Man. This is a bit like Christmas Carol, where I don't know, I can't separate it from the adaptation. Yeah, Chainsaw Man is something a little bit special, and I'm looking forward to, I think I am going to read ahead in the manga to see where it goes. I'm gonna put it... I'm actually gonna put it over there. Sorry, Harrow, but yeah, it's very cool. But I bloody love Denji. He's such a fun character to hang out with. Cool, and there we have it. I feel like I'm very generous, but I I think I am continuing to pick books that I know I will enjoy. Maybe this year I should challenge myself a bit more, but then again I did read like the Japanese classics, and barring from one, I ended up getting a lot out of those. I've got the set of Russian classics and they're next, but it's going to be a few months before I get around to them. So yeah, this is it. Oh yeah, ignore these last three. Yeah, what a year. So if things look a bit different from my top 10, I didn't want to double up on authors and series, so obviously Miss 1 Era 2 wasn't included, and I wasn't really including mangas or rereads, but I think this has ended up being kind of close to my top 10, yeah, which shows that my feelings haven't changed too much. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. So roll on 2023. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.